Following on from the F8 and J72 tank engines, the locomotive at which I'm looking today is yet another design that originated from the North Eastern Railway. This is the D20 class, as modelled for TS Classic by Caledonia Works. I got the idea to make this video after realising how much I like the look of the D20 in her original condition. The D20 started life as the North Eastern Railway R class, a type of 440 tender engine designed by Wilson Worsdale for passenger services, with 60 examples built at Gateshead Works between 1899 and 1907. They were reclassified as D20 in 1923, when the North Eastern Railway became part of the London and North Eastern Railway. The D20s had a long and successful career, during which numerous modifications were made, such as the fitting of piston valves to some locomotives, which resulted in them being designated as the D20-2 class, while their unmodified classmates became D20-1. 49 members of the class passed into British Railways ownership in 1948, and the final D20 was withdrawn from service in 1957, but sadly, none have survived into preservation. As for why I did such a heavily condensed overview of the D20's history, it's because the full history of this class is too complicated for me to fully wrap my head around, so I refer you to the D20 article on a website called LNER Encyclopedia, link in the description. The North Eastern Railway R/LNER D20 class was released for TS Classic on the 29th of April 2023, and she's available to buy on CW's website for £20 at full price. I can't really comment on value for money in this case, because the add-on was gifted to me in October last year. Cheers, Chris. At present, the R class is the closest thing we've got in TS to the preserved M1 class 440 number 1621, a locomotive about which I have known for many years. As for what's included in the pack, we'll do what I've always done and start with the livery selection, which covers the class from its introduction in 1939 right through to the British Railways era. The selection is as follows. 3 variants of North Eastern Railway Green, labelled as 1899 to 1901, 1901 to 1913 and 1913 to 1923, LNER Transitional Green, 1923, Standard LNER Green, 1923 to 1928, LNER Lined Black, 1928 to 1939, LNER Wartime Black, 1939 to 1945, LNER Post-War Black, 1945 to 1949, 2 variants of BR Transitional Black, one with a 5-digit BR number and the other with Gill Sans lettering, a 4-digit number and E prefix, and 2 variants of BR Unlined Black, with either the early emblem or late crest. Now here's where things get a bit complicated. There are 3 different boiler types in this pack, with the main differences I noticed just being the safety valve and whistle arrangements. 2 variants are labelled as Diagram 59 and Diagram 59A, with the latter having this thing, I don't know what it's called, on the smoke box just behind the funnel. The Diagram 59 and 59A boilers are available on all post-1928 LNER and BR variants, while Diagram 59 is also available on the NER 1913 to 1923 and LNER 1923 to 1928 variants. I should add that the original boiler has a working pressure of 200 psi, while the latter two have a lower pressure of 160 psi. Meanwhile, the post-1950 British Railways variants have 2 different smokebox doors, labelled as V1 and V2 in the scenario editor. Incidentally, the LNER Post-War Black D20 can appear with the same numbers as those worn by the 2 Grizzly P1 locomotives, 2393 and 2394, but there's no conflict because the D20s only got those numbers as part of Edward Thompson's renumbering scheme, which was introduced after the P1s were withdrawn. Thinking back to the later LNER and BR variants for the D20, I'm not sure what to make of these golden arches on the wheel splashes, as they clash with the black paint somewhat. If you want to run these engines without the golden arches, you can remove them in the scenario editor. The LNER D20 is one of the earliest examples of an add-on released with SimNation's Locomotion 2.0 scripting. Her list of features includes, but is not limited to, 3D firebox and coal, smoke particles that change depending on the season, fluctuating water level depending on the route gradient, realistic regulator and steam chest simulation, working water scoop, which is lowered with T and raised with Shift T, a custom auto fireman, which is toggled with Control R, performance mode, which is toggled with Shift P, animated valve gear inside of the frames, fire intensity synchronized with the exhaust beat, and numerous cab camera views. And now for some random observations I made while looking around the R/D20 model, starting with the distinctively shaped cab, whose side windows look very similar to those on the later Raven A2 Pacific of 1922. The R-Class appears to have a Westinghouse air pump, but is mostly hidden by the wheel splashes, which, in my opinion, are so bulky that they could give the original condition LSWR T14 a run for her money. Meanwhile, you can open the cab side doors as well as the roof vent. But the same cannot be said for the cab front windows. Incidentally, visibility is not great when looking out the front windows, so I usually go to the camera view where you're leaning out the side. Looking back on the footplate for a moment, one can see that Chris has left a Bible and pipe right next to the screw reverser. One of my favourite aspects of this pack is the level of customisable details, especially on the original Northeastern Railway green variant. On this one, you can change the running number, chimney type, smoke box door details, brake rigging, whistle type, with the two whistle options being the same as what you get on the E1/J72 tank engine, and extra framework around the base of the smoke box. By comparison, the LNER 1928 to 1939 variant, with diagram 59A boiler, only has 3 customizable details. These are the smoke box door details, brake rigging, and additional frames around the smoke box. Even though the D20 is not a particularly big locomotive, and only got a power rating of 2p, I still wanted to see how she would perform on a test run from Newton Stewart to Castle Douglas, a 29.9 mile long section of the Western Lines of Scotland route. For this run, I had the 1923 to 1928 LNER Green, with diagram 59 boiler, variant, hauling a quintet of British Rail Mark II coaches because historical accuracy, much like the cake, is a lie. When you're driving steam locomotives in Train Simulator, something to bear in mind is the ideal fire mass. In the case of the D20, the fire mass should be kept between 800 and 900 pounds, or 38 and 43% on the F4 heads-up display. As for what happened on the journey to Castle Douglas, locomotive number 1232 got the train up to around 22 miles per hour before hitting the 1 in 100 descent out of Newton Stewart, and the first real challenge wasn't until the 1 in 80 climb from Palnure to Creetown. The D20 was doing 62 miles per hour at the start of the climb, but was down to 45 by the time she rolled through Creetown station. Luckily, the signalman wasn't being a knob this time, in the sense that he didn't send me into the loop at the last second, as has happened before. After Creetown, there's a long climb to Gatehouse of Fleet that gets as steep as 1 in 65, and I've had trouble there before. In the case of the D20, she initially struggled to maintain speed, and was down to 30.6 miles per hour around half a mile from the 60 mile per hour speed limit sign. But even when her boiler pressure went past 150 psi again, the locomotive struggled to accelerate on the rest of the climb to Gatehouse of Fleet. It felt like an easier run after passing Gatehouse of Fleet, going down one hill and up another a couple of times over until we got to New Galloway. After that, there's one more downhill section before a mostly level run across the Loch Ken Viaduct and through 2 stations by the names of Parton and Cross Michael before finally arriving at Castle Douglas. I found that, on a journey like this one at least, you have to shovel coal almost constantly in order to maintain the ideal fire mass. Trying to get the right reverser and regulator settings to increase, or at the very least maintain, speed on the steep inclines is not easy when you also have to keep up the boiler water level. I also found that the D20 can reach at least 73 miles per hour on level track, which is faster than I was expecting. As Toad the Brake Van once said, that could have gone a little smoother. Just for the heck of it, here's a lineup of, what I'm pretty sure are, all the North Eastern Railway locomotives that Chris has modelled for TS Classic so far. All but one of these locomotives are still available to purchase as of early February 2026. The North Eastern Railway R class is one of many steam locomotives whose existence I wasn't aware of until CW brought them to Train Simulator, and it's been fascinating to have a look at this class in the game. But come to think of it, given how much I've struggled to wrap my head around all the variants included in the R/D20 pack, I'm not sure if I'll make a video about the similarly comprehensive London and South Western Railway N15. Anyway, as she stands now, I think the North Eastern Railway R/LNER D20 class deserves a 7.5 out of 10, and if you've stuck around to the end of the video, you win an LBSCR A1 locomotive that recently had a job arranging furniture and other decorations for people's houses. It's the interior designer.